Here's a tip for sharing books with your child. Be interactive. Discuss what's happening in the book. Point out things on the page and ask questions.
I'm former Governor Jim Hunt. I served as governor for 16 years in North Carolina. And one of the big things that I did as governor was to stress children learning to read and encouraging parents and grandparents to help them learn to read. Now today I want to read to you a book entitled Corduroy. Corduroy is the story of a little bear who wears green corduroy overalls. And as you can see, only one strap is working. So let's read this book. And I'm going to start with the first page. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the department store of a great big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. You see him there? He's up on the shelf with all the other toys. And every day he stays on the shelf. The store was always filled with shoppers, buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. See this big store? It's got an escalator. Maybe you've ridden on an escalator. And it's got these little toys here all together. And here's little Corduroy in his green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps. You see there, here's the little girl, and she loves Corduroy. But her mother says she's already spent too much money, and besides, he doesn't look like a new little bear. He's lost a strap." Well, Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. You see him walking away there? And Corduroy's so sad because he thought maybe this little girl would want him, and she does want him. "I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight, I'll go see if I can find it." So here he is. He's looking down now, and he sees that he lost his button. And he says, "Tonight, I'm going to go try to find my button." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. You see him getting down? He's getting down off the shelf. See him? And then he starts looking around in this big department store for his button that he lost. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he'd stepped onto an escalator and he went up, 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 up. Could this be a mountain, he wondered? I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. You see him here? He stood on this and the escalator started going up. And he's going up and up and up, and he thinks he's on a mountain. He thinks he's climbing a mountain. And he says, "I'd always wanted to climb a mountain." He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there before his eyes was a most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace." You see, here's little Corduroy. He got to the top of the escalator and he looks around at all these rooms full of furniture in this big department store. And look at them, tables and lamps and beds and everything. And he thinks he's in a palace. Well, Corduroy wandered around admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. See him getting up there? Climbing right onto that mattress. All at once, he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button," he cried. And he tried to pick it up, but all the other buttons on the mattress, like all of them, it was tied down tight. You see him trying to pick that button up on a mattress? Have you ever noticed a button on your mom and daddy's mattress or yours? It's tied down. It's holding the material down. So he can't get that button. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop! It did come off. The button came off the mattress, and Corduroy tumbled off the bed. Bang! He fell into a tall floor lamp, and over it fell with a crash. Here he is. You see? You see him falling off the bed when the button popped off? And then, when he fell off, he fell into a lamp, and the lamp fell over. Boy, he's causing a lot of trouble, isn't he? On the next page, Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. Look, here's the night watchman. See his cap and his uniform? He's got this big flashlight, and he's coming to see what's going on. Now, who in the world did that? He exclaimed when he saw the lamp on the floor. Somebody must be hiding around here. There he is, you see. He's looking. He knows somebody's hiding around there. He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds till he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. Look at that. Do you see those fuzzy brown ears right there? The night watchman saw him, and he knew somebody was back there, didn't he? Hello, he said. How did you get upstairs? So here's the night watchman talking to little Corduroy. And he says, how did you get upstairs? He's been downstairs before on the shelf. The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator. See him going down the escalator? He's going to put him back in his place, isn't he? And he set him on the shelf in the department store with the other animals and dolls. So now Corduroy has gone around and he's knocked things down, but he's got a button. And the night watchman's taken him back to his place and put him back up on the shelf. Corduroy was just waking up the next morning when the first customers came into the store in the morning. And there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen the day before. You see her? She's come back to see Corduroy. Isn't that something? I'm Lisa, she said, and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home. See there? She's got the money from her piggy bank, and she's come to buy the little bear so she can take him home, and he'll be her little bear. Well, well. Shall I put him in a box for you, the saleslady asked. Oh, no, thank you, Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. Look at that. Isn't that something? She loves that little bear, doesn't she? And she bought that little bear with her own money. Maybe you've got some money. You could buy a little bear or something, couldn't you? She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her own room. Look, she's gotten home now, and she's running up the stairs, and she's taken the little bear into her house or her apartment and straight to her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed, just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. This must be home, he said. I know I've always wanted a home. See him there in the little girl's room? See there, her bed? That's her big bed. That's her big bed. And that's his little bed. See? Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened." See her sewing on the button? There she is. Do you know how to sew? I know how to sew on buttons. I hope you do. That's all I know how to do, but I can sew on buttons. "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. Isn't that sweet? Do you like to hug your little bears or your dolls? I do too. I hug my children and my grandchildren. And that's a wonderful book about Corduroy. And maybe you'd like to get this book so you can read it at your home or have somebody that loves you read it to you.